Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. John Ravenwolf here, back with Raw Life. Today, I'm going to talk about a few things on how to care and play your drums. Because when I send out the drums to the customers, I go ahead and give them this sheet of paper. And it gives some instructions on about what you should and shouldn't do as far as taking care of your drums. And I figured I'd go ahead and pull a few out. This one here beside me, actually I made in 2009, did with just straight acrylic on the hide, and you can see after all this time of playing, everything is chipping just a little bit. Give you a little bit of a close up on it, and the paint's kind of faded just a little bit, but you know, I learned a few tricks since then, and one of the tricks is to use linseed oil in the acrylic paint if you ever want to paint one, or I can paint it for you. And what it does is it actually adheres into the hide a little bit more, but it will dry out. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too. Another one that I did back around the same time, actually the same summer, was this one. And this was actually the first one. And this is in watercolor, and you can see here also how it's fading and cracking just a little bit. But you got to understand, I made these in 2009. So, 12 years later, they're still holding up pretty good. It might not look pretty, but they still sound good. And we'll play them here in a minute too. So the thing about drums is Native American style drums with natural hides on. And I understand that there's, people out there that would rather have synthetic and things like that. I've never done them. I don't know how. I don't know, what the particulars are in using a synthetic type of a hide for them. I know there's ways to do it. I've just never been taught that, and honestly, just never had the interest. Let me show you one of the ways that I started doing it back then was I would get rings and do it this way for these larger drums. It's almost like a powwow style drum. Some that are, of course you get into the double-sided and they're much, much bigger. This one here is 24 inches. The one I just showed you here is only 17, but I also used a heavier wood, and they're heavy, so they have to be put on stands. But again, you can see how I use the ring and this type of cord because it was just something that I felt was necessary because of how heavy they are. But they've lasted all these years. Traveled with them so many different times. They still sound good, and I really like them. Also, another thing with these two style of drums is because of their size, so that, instead of trying to hold them, I made a stand for them that they sit on, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But what it is they hang off of their leather or whatever in these grooves that I created, and it's just a 4-post type of stand. So it makes it comfortable for playing. Real quick, let me go ahead and set one up for you. As you can tell, I'm not editing this. This is just a straightforward type of video, which is what I like to do. So we'll set it up, and let's see how the microphone picks up on the sound of this 17-inch drum. The type of mallet that I'm using, or beater, is something that you would find in like a high school band. I picked these up at a yard sale for like $5. But listen to this. And I'll show you that about playing them too, because it is different depending on where you hit it. Right now we've had rain, so it depends on the moisture and humidity and everything else. Now you notice when I played the other one, just hit it with my hand, it sounded different. Listen. See, there's different ways to play them. It really makes a difference in how they sound, and that's going to go into the care part. So let's slip into that. The care instructions for these types of drums You always want to store them in a cool, dry, shaded area for over long periods. Now, here in my shed, it does get up towards 90 degrees in the summer. It gets down into, the 30s during the winter. And it doesn't affect them uh, to the point in where it's going to hurt them. And actually, they're made out of all natural material except for the cord that I use to stretch them with. So when you think of it that way, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Uh, but the only bad thing that I have found for these is if you have a lamp, let's say, and the lamp sits right above this, and you have it here. This actually happened to one of my friends that I gifted her with a hummingbird drum, and the very top had started to dry out just from the heat from the light bulb, and it was only a 60-watt bulb. Unfortunately, it got so hard it turned clear. It looked like plastic and felt like plastic and started to crack. If you're going to use anything to adjust and dry out the drum, let's say, to where you get a better sound out of it, to where it's stretched more, you can set it in the sun. I've actually in the wintertime set them up next to a fire when we were outside doing like a sweat lodge or something. I've also put them on the floor of my vehicle and turn on the heater just to get that moisture out, to get them more of a tang, a high pitched type of sound, unless you want this stuff. That's the beautiful thing about these drums is that they're constantly changing their tones. And so, anyway, back to what I was saying. If you leave a drum into the direct heat, in the direct light, whether it's the sun or anything artificial or a fire or whatever, and it's in too long, it'll actually make it harden to the point where it'll become brittle and begin to crack. And so that's what you don't want to do. That's mistake number one. I had a lady actually use her hair dryer, sat it on the table and let it run on low and forgot about it. Came back 15 minutes later and the drum was ruined. One half of it was completely hard and it had no tone to it whatsoever. So please don't make that mistake. So yeah, your different heat sources, you want to be really, really careful of that. And like I was saying, to change the tone, for instance, if it is too hot and it's been sitting, now I've talked to people that use different like bear grease or whatever to actually put on their skins. But what I've learned too is that you can take just a regular towel or a washcloth, whatever, dish towel, the same size as your drum, wet it and wring all the water out of it and just lay the moist cloth on top of the drum and it'll pick up on that moisture. Of course, you don't want to leave it on there too long, but the water's not going to hurt it nearly as much as what excessive heat will. But if you do that for short periods of time, you'll be in pretty good shape. So like I said, those heat sources, though, can be a fire, the sun, a hair dryer, or a car heater. But you don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. Only do it for like 10 minutes at the most. Check it out, see if it's playing the way you want it to for the tone that you want. If not, get it close, but not directly beside the heat source. Now, if for some reason you hear a pinging noise, this just means that the drum hide is stretched to its maximum capacity, and you have to take it away from the heat source immediately. Now, what do I mean by pinging? I've done this where I've actually left them outside after I've stretched one in the direct sun, and I forgot about it. And all of a sudden, you can hear this like ping, ping, ping noise, and it's because it's stretching the hide so tight. And yes, the hides will break where in the holes where the cord goes through, like right here. And that's why I started doubling them, because I used to put in just one hole, but this adds to the strength of it. But if they get too tight because of it, it will actually break the hide. And the reason being is because if you are lucky enough to have a hide from the back, most of mine are deer. These are actually leather from a cow. cowhide. But these, the very back of the animal, any animal, is always going to be the thickest. And it becomes thinner and thinner as it gets down into the belly area. Once you get into that area, it can become like thinner than paper. And I've found when I'm actually stretching them, I have to be very careful with them, or I've broken probably a half a dozen over the last 12 to 14 years, unfortunately. But I've corrected it, and then it all turned out okay. But the nice thing is, because of the way these are set up with as many places that you have contact, if one were to break, as long as you keep this tight, once it becomes loose, the rest of them will hold that form. Now it will change the tone a little bit, but not by much. There's two methods for conditioning the drum. Like I said, you can use a damp cloth and lay it on, or what I like to tell people is, like, sometimes whenever if you're in a meeting, or you're just meditating, or you're just watching TV or whatever, a lot of times you can just rub your drum, connect with it. And then what you're doing is you're actually getting the oil, natural oil from your hands, and believe it or not, you're lubricating this drum. So it's a very nice way to connect with your drum, but also to be able to lubricate it. Like I said, you can use bear grease or some other type of, even, I would imagine, even a very, very light coat of something like coconut oil, something that is completely natural. I wouldn't go with any kind of, type of chemically based lubricant or anything like that. You want to use something that's completely natural. That's your choice. You can try different test spots to see what it does. Just remember that these drums are an extension of you. And with your intention, you can place your energy into the drum with only the best energy and intentions, and just enjoy it basically for a lifetime. If you take care of it, it will take care of you. They're beautiful products, and I've gotten to the point where it's so much easier. I try to make all of them as close to the same as possible, but these are not mass produced, folks. These are completely individual to the person. And one of the ways that you can do that, to be sure, I've actually had people, like if I went to an expo or something and had them, and I've had people do this, where if you have one of my drums, you just pick it up where it's facing outwards, and take your beater that comes with the drum, and then play it directly towards your heart. You do it light or hard. I had one woman, it was really funny. She picked up 3 different drums, had gone through a couple, and then picked up the third one and hit it twice. She said, "Okay, this is mine." Because it does. It has a resonance, a frequency, just like so many other things in our life, whether it's music or, whatever, you're going to feel that frequency. It's going to connect with you to your heart. So I was telling you about the care. Obviously, you can see that these are still well cared for. They produce a good sound. This one I was just playing, actually I made back in April, and it's just been out here in my shed. But I'll be, it's already sold. I just have to paint on it now. And that's another thing that I do, in case any of you are interested. If you order a drum, you come up with a design. I put my own little tweak to it. We discuss it, and as long as you okay it, we go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and post some of those pictures on my Facebook page again. And I have a new design idea coming out, which I could tell you, but if I did, then it wouldn't be a surprise. So I can't tell you just yet. Now, here's something else. If you get one of these drums, like I said, this is a 20-inch, the other one's 17. But these handheld drums are anywhere between 12 to 13 inches, just depending. This is my beater. I've decorated it the way I wanted it. Got a little feather on there, beads. You can decorate these things any way that you want. But the cool thing is, I'm sure you've seen these, and these are the types of bags that you get in a store anywhere, and you just strap them on your back, right? They're like a book bag kind of deal. And I just go ahead and put my drum right in there. It's in the shade when I'm not using it. And there it is. This is my own personal drum. So let's play this for a minute. Now some of them will have that sound. See, it all depends on how tight they are, the thickness of the drum, the wood, everything. And then you'll have this. Okay, so that's got just a little bit tighter. But when I made different drums, oh, by the way, mine is from 2017. And I keep it in this little bag, and it's been here in the shed ever since I moved down in 2018. So let's get into a little bit about playing them. So, like I was saying before, if you look, for instance, if you can see right here how thin this is. It's very, very thin. Now, on the other drum, you can look at it, and it's a little bit thicker. So this depends on the tone too. But the cool thing is that when you're playing them, let's see if you can recognize the different tones. I'm going to start at the 12 o'clock position. Excuse me. I'm going to start at the 12 o'clock position, 3, 6, 9, and then the center. Okay? So certainly you're going to get more vibration out of the center of it, but a lot of times what we need to do is figure out where the best tone is. It's just like a drummer in a band. They know where to hit the drum to get the tone that they want from that particular drum. You know, so depending on the drum itself. But here, let's play it like from 2 down to 7. Now we're in the center. Now we're down towards 7. Now just go around clockwise. Can you recognize the different tones? Because that's the way they are. Now, I also did that with 2 different types of beaters, right? Mallets. Now let's try the big one for the big bass drums. So that's hitting heavier because of this, obviously, because it is heavier by probably 2 ounces. Now, try a regular drumstick. Okay, actually I'm turning it around. Again, going clockwise. Center. Now, one of the cool things that I used to do, I don't do it anymore, but I wanted to get a little bit more bounce off of it. And I actually took These are wooden dowels you can get at like Lowe's or anywhere else. I used to use regular branches that I would come across, but this is just much easier to make. And this on the top is actually just a chamois. I have another video before from how to make the drums, and then another video on how to make the mallets and things like that. And what I used to do was make them out of rubber balls. You know, remember the super balls you get out of the bubblegum machines at like a market or something? And that's what I was doing. I'd drill a hole in there and put it on the end of this and glue it and wrap it. And I would get a little bit more of a bounce off of it to hit it light, and it would just like real quick off of it. And it made a different sound also because it was made of a different material. So you can always play around with that too, and do whatever you feel like doing. If you don't like the mallet that comes, or if you just want to watch one of my videos and make one for yourself, it makes for a lot of fun because you can come up with two different sounds off of the same drum. So I hope this video has helped you, and it really is fun to play with the drums, especially if you can find other people that have them. But if you don't, just like my dear friend was saying, that she got off of work a couple of Fridays ago and came home and was just stressed and decided to listen to meditation music. And I made her a drum, and she picked it up and just started playing it. And when you do, then you have no thought. You can actually clear your mind. This is just no different than looking at a candle and using your breath, because you can use your breath when you're doing this as well. And you just get into a constant beat, as loud or as slow or as fast as you wish, and just this. You don't have to be a musician to play the drum. Just play it the way you feel it. And if you want to get happy with it, get happy with it. Pick up another one, It's fun. So I don't have the stand for this, but let's just feel drawn to play this one. This is the first one I showed you with the eagle on it. See, there's too much rain. That one, I don't like the way it sounds right now because I know how it can sound, but it's not bad. Okay, now I want to try the other one. See, it's just so much fun just to play. You got to be like a kid. Remember when you were a little kid, or if you have grandkids, or if you have kids, or depending on what your age is, they just pick it up and start beating. And then, what I didn't tell you about was just about playing with your hands. This is a lot of fun too. So let me tilt this down a little bit. And what you don't want to do is like just hit it, and because you'll get nothing out of it. So what you want to do is you want to hit and pick your hand up real quick. clamp it with my legs. This is good. Okay. So anyway, you get the idea. Just have fun with it. That's what it's all about. And if you check around, I'm sure there's going to be areas or somebody where you go, either within your own town. Sometimes you can go on vacation, and especially the beach, and find people that do drum circles like on a full moon on the beach or close to the beach. And that's a lot of fun too. I hope this video was helpful, especially if you have one of my drums or a drum like it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Yes, the 12-inch are for sale with the beaters, and if you have any questions about that, just look me up on Facebook, John Raven Wolf Bailey, and we'll get them to you. Y'all keep straight up there. Much love. We'll see you later. Bye.